What up? Welcome back to another Commander deck list. Today we're covering Shadowheart again. I covered Shadowheart in the past, but that was a Orzhov tokens aristocrat deck. This is a Shadowheart deck that I saw a new Secret Lair for, and I'm like, I like this character. I'm gonna make a deck that's all about Shadowheart. So obviously our commander is Shadowheart, 4 mana 3/4, pay 2 tap, sack another creature, draw X, where X is the creature's power, and you can choose a background, so it's partner but with enchantments. Not doing that part too much, but our background we're playing is called the Absolute. Commander creatures have +3/+3, flying, death touch, and ward, pay 3 life, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. So we're just making Shadowheart big, and yeah, the whole point of the deck is to hit with Shadowheart, and then play support creatures to help Shadowheart. And, you know, going through the deck list, looked at like Shar lore and stuff, and I'm like, this stuff kind of fits the most. So like Deceit and like Betraying and kind of all that stuff is what the deck is doing. It's sacrificing other guys for your own benefit. We have Skull Clamp. We can sacrifice a guy with a Skull Clamp on it and draw 2 cards. Very cool. Soul Ring is obviously... I'm going to start by alphabet. I didn't realize it was an alphabet. Alright, yeah, let's go through that. Arcane Signet. It's an artifact. It ramps. Bontu's Monument. This helps us cause black creatures, which is good because if they get rid of our commander, it'll make it a little cheaper. And when you cast a creature spell, each opponent lose 1 life, you gain 1 life. It's alright. Charcoal Diamond is in here, adds a little bit of ramp. Jet Medallion, same thing, we're in mono black, so this is a pretty good card. Mind Stone, a little bit of ramp, you can also tap it, sack it to draw a card, which is nice. Skull Clamp and Soul Ring, obviously I've just been over. Soul Ring, good ramp. Swiftfoot Boots, we got a way to protect the queen. Darkness Crystal is more cost reduction. Black spells cost 1 less. If a non-token creature an opponent controls will die, you can instantly exile it, gain 2 life. And then later you can pay 6, tap it, put a creature, exile the Darkness Crystal onto the battlefield, tapped under your control with 2 additional 1 counters on it. So later on we can steal other people's stuff and then use them for value. Thought Vessel, more 2 mana ramp. Wayfarer's Bauble, is 2 mana ramp, kind of. On the creatures, because we do a lot of sacrificing, we're playing some sacrifice synergies. I curse Marauders in the list. When it enters, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. It's a pretty good card. It helps with, I don't know, like token decks and 1 non-token, and we can obviously always just sacrifice the own Marauder if we want to. IR is in here, a little value piece. When it or another black creature enters, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain a life. So you can slowly drain down the table, and you can also tap, sack another black creature to draw a card. And we have a bunch of token effects, so this is pretty good for that. Blood Artist, same thing. When this or another creature dies, each target player loses a life and you gain a life. So yeah, way to hurt down the table. Bloodghast, this is one of our recurable creatures. Can't block, has haste as long as the opponent has 10 or less life, which is kind of relevant. The big thing though is landfall. You can return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield, so it can just keep coming back every turn if we keep making land drops. Braids is a nice little value piece. At the beginning of your end step, you can sack an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice permanent of their choice that shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, they lose 2 life and you draw a card. So best case scenario, you're getting people to sacrifice creatures or whatever you need them to sacrifice. Worst case scenario, you're drawing a card and the opponents are losing 2 life. There's really no downside with this card, it's pretty good. Butcher of Malakir, this has an edict effect on it, 7 mana 5/4 flying. Whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. Obviously, we're sacrificing a creature every turn, so one is guaranteed dying with our Cultists of the Absolute. So yeah, this also makes everybody else sacrifice creature when we do. Cryptghast, Extort, and whenever you tap a swamp, add an additional black. Obviously, in mono black, where we're playing a bunch of swamps, this card is very good. Endrixar, Master Breeder, 5 mana 2/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create X/1/1 black thrall creature tokens, where X is that spell's mana value. And then if you control 7 or more thralls, you sacrifice Endrixar. We can pretty easily play around this. We have a bunch of sacrifice effects, or we can always just use the thralls as chump blockers. So yeah, this is just a good way to make a lot of tokens. Flashback Marauder, similar to a Curse Marauder, it's in the deck for the same reason, except this is a creature, not non-token creature, which depends. Sometimes is a little worse, sometimes is better. Who cares? Or irrelevant. Grave Titan, 6 mana, 6/6. When it enters or attacks, make 2 black zombies. It makes more tokens for us to sacrifice. Gray, Merchant of Asphodel in the deck because we're playing mono black. I put this card even in like Mardu decks, and I don't know. I think in Commander as a 4-player format it's very good. When it enters, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So every opponent loses 6 and there are 3 opponents, you're gaining 18. Quick example, but yeah, in mono black it's very easy to get this going to heal a lot. You can also later sacrifice it for your Cultist of the Absolute effect and then just like reanimate it with one of the few reanimator effects in the deck. Grim Servant's a kind of neat tutor. 4 mana, 3/2. When it enters, search your library for a card with mana value less than or equal to your devotional black. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. You lose 3 life. If we don't have a way to make consistent tokens or get creatures on the battlefield, this can help find us one of those cards, which is nice. Jadar, Ghoul Caller, Nephalia. This is one of those cards. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, make a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. That can't block when it attacks, sacrifice it. This will get us a creature for our Shadowheart effect every turn. Morbid Opportunist, a value piece whenever one or more creatures die, draw a card. Only triggers once each turn, but that's still pretty good. 9 Lives Familiar. This is kind of one of those comeback creatures. It enters with 8 revival counters on it if you cast it, and then when it dies, if it had a revival counter, return to the battlefield with 1 fewer revival counters instead. So you can kind of sacrifice it, or it can die 9 times essentially. It's the cat that dies 9 times. Ophiomancer is another one. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you control no snakes, make a 1/1 snake. With Death Touch, kind of irrelevant, but I guess it could be good for blocking. Pitiless Plunder, when another creature you control dies, make a treasure. Again, just good value piece. Plaguecrafter, each player sacrifices a creature planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. This is a good way to get around people that maybe don't have enough creatures on board. Priest of Forgotten Gods, tap, sack 2 creatures. Any number of target players each lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature of their choice. You add black and draw a card. With the amount of tokens we make, it's really easy to just sacrifice 2 things that are useless. And then yeah, giving everybody an edict effect and we get to draw a card is pretty good. Reassembling Skeleton, we can just keep casting it from our graveyard for 1 in the black, so sacrifice it, bring it back just permanently until somebody gets rid of it through like exile or exiles our graveyard. Solemn Simulacrum, Solemn Simulacrum is in here. When it enters, it ramps a basic, and then when it dies, you draw a card. Obviously, you can sack it to the Cultist and get the value right away if nobody's hitting into you, because they don't want you to draw a card. Viconia Drow Apostate. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 more creature cards in your graveyard, return a creature at random from your graveyard to your hand. Good way to bring back creatures if there are a bunch in our trash. Zulaport Cutthroat, 2 mana 1/1. When it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. Just a way to ping down the table slowly. And then yeah, on to the enchantments. We got Bastion of Remembrance. When it enters, make a human soldier. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1. You gain 1. I know the drain effect. Black Market's in here. Just to keep us up with mana later on in the game, especially if our commander is being removed a lot. It's very easy for it to go up to like 8 or 10. And then if Black Market's on board, we can pretty easily pay for that later on. Because yeah, whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on it. At the beginning of your first main phase, add a black creature charge counter. Dictative Erebos is one of our edict effects. Whenever a creature control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. This is just the one I'm playing. It was in my original Shadowheart deck, so I'm like, I can easily just throw it into this deck and yeah, be chill. Dreadhorde Invasion, this is a mass 1 zombies every turn, and then a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater gets lifelink, which is irrelevant in the deck, but yeah, it can make like a zombie that we can permanently sacrifice every turn. Oversold Cemetery, 2 mana at the beginning of your upkeep. If you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So similar to whatever that drow's name was, Viconia, we can just bring back creatures that are dying if we need them back. Although this one isn't random, so it's a little bit better. On the instance, Black Sun's Twilight gives something -X and can reanimate if X is 5 or more. Darkness is a Fog also very much fits the Shar theme of, Shar is all about the night and darkness. Deadly Dispute, we can sack an artifact or creature to draw 2, make a treasure. Defile is obviously very good in mono black where you're playing a lot of swamps, giving creatures easily like plus -5/-5 or more. Flare of Malice I think is an interesting card. You can sack a non-token black creature rather than pay its spell, and then each opponent sacrifices a creature planeswalker with the greatest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. It's a good way to get rid of big threats. Go for the Throat is basic removal, so is Hero's Downfall, so is Infernal Grasp, so is Murder. Sudden Spoiling isn't really removal, but it's a way to stop like a combo player. Split second until end of turn, creatures target player controls lose all abilities and have base power toughness 0/2. So you can like, I don't know, stop an herb, I don't know, the green elf guy that pumps all your elves and they just go infinite, or yeah, this is a good way to like stop a lot of activated abilities and stuff. Tragic Slip, obviously very good. This is like always online on our turn as long as our commander's around. Village Rites, sack creature, draw 2. And then yeah, let's go to sorceries. We got Beseech the Queen, kind of in here just because when I'm interested in a Secret Lair, I will just put all the Secret Lair cards in the deck. Obviously this one also comes with an Ancient Bronze Dragon, the green one. Obviously that can't go in mono black, but the rest can. Beseech the Queen is I think it's hybrid 2 black. I'm not actually sure what the official term for this type of mana is, but it's search your library for a card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. So it's a 3 mana tutor. Blasphemous Edict, obviously a very good card. You can pay a black rather than 5 if there are 13 more creatures on the battlefield. Each player sacrifices 13 creatures. Feed the Swarm is removal for enchantments or creatures. Fell is kind of just cheaper removal. I throw it in. It's like sorcery speed, so it's not as good as most other things, but yeah. Mutilate's in here. It is a board wipe. Give everything -1/-1 for each swamp you control. Obviously, this is good in mono black with a lot of swamps. Night's Whisper, draw 2, lose 2. Read the Bones, scry 2, draw 2, lose 2. Reanimate is just reanimate, that's why it's in here. Sign Blood, target player draws 2, lose 2, so if somebody goes for like a Thoracle win or something, that's a fun little game to play, or fun little card to play. Deluge, as an additional cost, pay X life. Target creatures get -X/-X until end of turn. So yeah, obviously just another really effective board wipe. Unearth, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You can also cycle it for 2. We are playing a lot of creatures with mana value 3 or less. Like, what? Of our 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of them or 8 of them aren't. So, like, yeah, it's 15 creatures that can be brought back with Unearth. And then what I think is one of the best black cards that is pretty underrated, Victimize. Choose target creature cards in your graveyard, sacrifice creature. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. So we can sack like a random token to bring back 2 cards. Quickly going over the land base, nothing too crazy. Bajuka Bog is a little bit of graveyard hate. High Market, we can sack a creature. Mortuary Mire can bring something back. Temple of the False God, because why not? And then Witch's Cottage. When it enters untapped, put a creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. So same as Mortuary Mire. Quickly onto the sideboards, we got some more expensive cards and stuff like that. Cabal Coffers, obviously very good in mono black. You could also throw in Urborg. We don't really need to with the amount of non-swamps I'm playing. Damnation's a very efficient board wipe, but I kind of do prefer Mutilate and yeah, Toxic Deluge and Mutilate over Damnation. Although, I don't know, maybe it's better, but who knows. Grave Pact, we're already playing Dictative Erebos. Might as well play Grave Pact, but I didn't want to put both of them in the deck. And this one's more expensive and I don't have it, so that's mainly why. Liliana Dreadhorde General, I think is interesting. Whenever a creature dies, you control dies, draw a card. You can make a zombie every turn. You can make players sacrifice 2 creatures. Or the alt, each opponent chooses a permanent they control. Each permanent type sacrifices the rest, which is, I mean, good, but usually you're not hitting 9, or you're not alting on this Planeswalker, I don't think. But yeah, I don't know. 6 mana for whenever a creature control dies, draw a card is kind of whatever. And then Nykthos, good devotion land. Pawn of Ulamog, whenever this creature or another non-token creature you control dies, you can make a Eldrazi spawn. it's useful, but most of the time when we're sacrificing stuff, it is tokens, so it's not as good. But yeah, that's the deck. Thank you very much for watching. Didn't cover my deck for the entry for the Architect list or challenge last week. Kind of because it was just like the partner clue deck that I made a while ago, and then I upgraded it a little bit. Didn't really get anywhere with it, but yeah, that's why I didn't make anything. Next week, I'll be back with something else. I'm not really sure what. Maybe it'll be a best deck in blank, because I don't have any like commanders that I really want to make right now. But yeah, until then, bye bye.